We're
Okay, we're
live.
live. How's it going?
I'm doing amazing. How are you doing?
Awesome. Good, good. I'm doing good. Yeah,
Cool.
coffee.
Oh, nice. I'm in the afternoon already, so I'm on to water myself.
Ah, gotcha.
Yep.
All right. So what are we talking about?
Yeah. Well, two things. The first one. So you had I think you just posted a video fairly recently with a discussion with one of Vegan Gains's subscribers, and you guys went through. I just watched that video, and you guys talked about a number of things. One of the things that came up during that discussion, which I thought was a great discussion, by the way,
Hmm.
but one of the things that came up was your position on how you evaluate certain kind of in nature type moral situations. And the example that you gave is like the lion and the zebra. If I was the zebra, I would want to be protected, but if I was the lion, I wouldn't want somebody to just kill me because I had to eat meat in order to survive. So you
Hmm.
sort of sympathized, I guess, with the plight of both of those beings, and so that's um, that coming from there, you didn't want to necessarily, like, you didn't agree with killing predators because you wouldn't want to be killed as the lion. Did I fairly
Hmm.
characterize that view first of all?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if I would how I feel about calling something moral or not. I've been toying with the idea of things being immoral even if they're the right thing to do. So if we consider it wrong to kill somebody, then killing in self-defense would be an acceptable or justifiable immoral act. Because we should do it. We shouldn't let somebody kill us, so we should kill to defend ourselves. But it almost seems reasonable to me to have moral be referring to sort of the outcome almost, and therefore it doesn't matter how justified it is. It's either justified or not justified immoral act. So, but yes,
Yeah.
how you described it is how I feel. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's fair. I think, yeah, I don't care that much about how people, like, the building blocks of their moral system. I care more
Mm-hmm.
about the entailments and how that manifests in what actions that they do or vote against or whatever. So as long as
Mm-hmm.
we come to the same conclusions, I think that I'm mostly fine with having disagreements at the more like upstream level of the moral system.
Mm-hmm.
But okay, so uh, the immediate reductio that popped in my head for this, and I just like to raise it because it sounded like you wanted to be talked out of your view. um,
Only in the sense that I always want to be talked into the right view. So if I'm talked
yeah,
out of it, then great.
yeah. Well, the immediate reductio that pops in my head is if you were like a serial killer or a serial, abuser or something, you
Mm-hmm.
have a brain state that's from your biology that gives you certain proclivities, and so you wouldn't want to be, have somebody put you in jail if you were that person, but yet you would still, um, presumably, you would still want that person to be stopped at all costs, even, potentially killing them. So,
Yeah.
what,
Mhm.
how do you,
So
yeah, yeah.
yeah, so basically, I don't know at what point I would define what's happening, other than maybe actions versus mental states. But I would say that we can figure out, or at least I believe humans can figure out what is needed for survival. So the idea of consuming something, let's say that you're naturally supposed to eat. Not that the natural part. Anyways, so needing to consume food, or needing air, or needing water, or needing shelter, needing these for survival is a specific thing. And then separate from that, we might say that we want things as far as what brings us pleasure. So if a serial killer gets pleasure from killing people, in my mind, in my moral view, that's not enough reason to not protect the one being killed. It's similar to free speech. So I could say all I want that I think if somebody harms somebody, they should go to jail. But if somebody says, oh, well, if you say something that offends somebody, like they truly are emotionally like messed up because of it. So why should somebody be able to verbally abuse somebody essentially with their free speech? And I guess my argument's the same for that, where we can put a fine line on what's acceptable or not acceptable, like for survival, or in the case of free speech, for having the freedom to think. These things seem clear to me. Where I don't think somebody should intentionally offend somebody just for fun. That seems pretty messed up. I mean, I feel bad that the person can be so easily offended, but if their mental state is getting to a place because of words that were said, and the person didn't need to say them, I wish they didn't say them. But I'm not going to take a strong stance on if that person should be legally held accountable for it. So same thing would go for if we're protecting things in the wild, and protecting things based off their wants versus their needs. I'm gonna stop rambling, but did that kind of fill it in?
Maybe. So,
Okay.
are you saying that you wouldn't kill a lion that was killing to survive, but you would kill a lion that was killing for pleasure?
Yeah, I meant to say that and I didn't say that part. Yes. I usually bring that up when I talk about my new stance on the predator culling thing. That, yeah, if we could see a lion, well, and RC, who's here watching right now, I had a talk with him, and he told me that mountain lions are kind of known for torturing their prey. They'll. I think he was at a place where a mountain lion was making this coyote howl and suffer, and he eventually killed it. But it took like an hour and a half of just making it suffer. And I think it might be reasonable to recognize that this species that was born and can continue to exist, but can make something suffer to a level where it's doing it for no good reason. That maybe we humans should take that out, whereas something just doing what it needs to do to survive, it becomes complicated because you got to pick one or the other, the lion or the zebra. But yes, so yeah, if I saw a lion or anything, any animal making something suffer just for fun, I would say that thing might be worth taking out.
So I find that, so here's this a strange thing, I guess, about this whole thing is
Hmm.
you would agree that animals are sort of outside the scope of moral thinking, right? They are not able to do
Correct.
that. You can't explain to them why it's wrong to do this thing or something.
Hmm.
So their actions, whatever they are being driven from their biology and influencing like the instincts that they feel and that sort of thing. So
Yeah.
in in one hand, like the let's call it the regular lion has biology such that they kill,
Hmm.
um, and you view that as killing to survive. And then on the other hand, the mountain lion, that was the other one, right? The mountain
Yeah.
lion that
Mountain
kills a
lion.
coyote. So the regular lion has biology that makes it have an instinct to kill, and the mountain lion has a biology that gives it an instinct to kill and to take longer killing.
Hmm.
Um, why do you differentiate those two biologies?
Um, no, I mean, it's a fair point because in one case, making something suffer, which that thing doesn't want to suffer, and then the other case, it's making something's life end, which it doesn't want to end. So they are doing something similar. Um, I don't know. Well, so as you were talking, I was thinking
Because there
one
must have been like some evolutionary advantage for doing the
making it
torture
suffer.
thing, presumably. Otherwise,
Yeah.
why would it do it? So it's like in the same way that the lion kills because of some stacked up evolutionary advantages that built over time, such that it only eats other things. The
Hmm.
mountain lion, some set of like evolutionary advantages stacked over time, such that it wants to torture things.
Well, would you say that there's an evolutionary advantage likely in humans for wanting to do things we don't need to do, like eat animals?
Would I say there's an say is there an
Well, you said there's
evolutionary
likely
advantage?
an evolutionary advantage for why the mountain lion does it. I'm
Why it
just
has the
thinking,
instinct, yeah.
yeah, I'm just thinking that since humans are capable of doing things they probably shouldn't do, that we can recognize, um, that mountain lions can't recognize it, but maybe they aren't doing it because there's an advantage to it. Their instincts just are making them do something that we can recognize as more despicable than something eating to survive.
Like it's possible that it was I can't remember the word. There's for a thing that evolved but didn't provide an evolutionary advantage. There's a
Mm.
word for it. I just can't remember. But like, are you saying that maybe that it's the case that the mountain lion doesn't get any sort of evolutionary advantage from the torture
Um,
part?
Maybe. I mean, I don't know enough about how things evolve. That's just not a study of mine. So, but well,
If
here,
it
let me
did,
point out.
what if it did? Like what if it makes it like more attractive to its mates because they see it like if the thing cries
Mm,
out, then the female mountain lions are more likely to notice that it has prey and more likely to mate with it. So it's like it is in the best interest of
yeah.
that thing passing on its genes.
See, I somewhat put that in the same category as somebody wanting like maybe hate speech laws because they don't want to be offended. That if we factor in the idea of I need to do this thing to impress this person, it'd be like a bully picking on somebody and saying, I know I'm hurting you, but if I hurt you, that lady over there is going to pick me to be, And so I don't. It's tough drawing lines, as you can see, where with my definition of veganism. But at some point, we have to draw the line of what is just somebody's preference versus what somebody needs. And
So
so yeah.
yeah, okay. So I guess in the wild, because I know your answer would be different in a society, but in
Mm-hmm.
the wild, if there were um, let's see, if there was a tribe of humans living there that ate just wild stuff,
Mm-hmm.
let's just say, and then another like ferns and berries or whatever, and then another one ate those things and humans,
Mm.
um, and needed to do it to survive, you would not stop them. You would think
If
it
they
was
needed to do it to survive,
yeah
like
yeah
they're
their
designed to
biology
need
was
it,
different or
otherwise they die.
something.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah. I would stop them in the sense of self defense. And now, if I'm just a me being that's floating there that can just make choices
Yeah, let's say you're in the
versus,
other tribe. Like you just see this happening where this other tribe is like, you're on one
but there's
island
no
and you've
likelihood that that the tribe that eats humans is going to eat me.
yeah, let's say not. Let's say you're just on the other island and your technology is better advanced or something, and you look
Mhm.
over and you see this tribe B who it just like hunts at each other and kills each other and that
Yeah.
sort of thing. Um,
Yeah. So I think this is just off the top of my head that in that world, in nature, without the society, I would leave it alone. I would let it be. Now, if they were farming humans and there was torture involved, I might change it up. But if they were hunting uh, humans out in nature, and for whatever reason, I knew me and my tribe were fine. I would probably view it similar to the lion situation, especially, I mean, again, for anybody listening to this hypothetical involves they need to eat human flesh or they will die themselves. Yeah, I would be fine with that. I would want to start a society still. And then in that society, I'd want to make sure that those people shouldn't come into the society
right.
because they can't agree to it unless we make the lab human meat or whatever. But
But you wouldn't advocate for like stopping them from doing that.
not until you convince me in a sec.
Well, like what? Okay,
Oh,
so
I
let's
want to throw something out real quick though, because I like this
sure.
line of questioning.
Okay.
But when you said something earlier, something popped into my head, and I just wanted to throw it out there, just in case it sparked some ideas for you. When you were talking about everything you were just talking about, I was imagining that what if lions could be perfectly fine on eating vegetation and zebras, and they could do a combination of both, or just carnivore or just herbivore.
Hmm.
Like it would all be equal to them, but they preferred the zebra one. But they couldn't. They didn't have the ability, like they don't now,
Hmm.
to choose the moral act. They just, if they have the zebra, they will get the zebra. But if they were put into an area kind of fenced in where they could only eat vegetation and they'd be perfectly healthy, I would say similar to how I think maybe a mountain lion should be taken out for being sadistic. Lions as a species, unless it affected the ecosystem, should maybe be forced into an area where they would have all the natural vegetation and whatever they want, and maybe they can even live amongst animals they wouldn't consume. So anyways, that was a thought that popped in my head. I don't know how strong of a stance I'd have on that, but there's that.
Meaning that that would be a that would be somewhere between killing the lion and just letting it go. It's like maybe that middle
Mhm.
step. You would be more inclined to maybe pick that instead of just letting nature be.
Yeah, because since they need the thing to survive, like if I know that humans can survive perfectly fine on vegetation, but also humans can do all right, seems to do somewhat all right on meat. If I just didn't have a brain capable of figuring that out, I guess I would maybe I guess I wouldn't want it, but the me right now that wants it would want me to be forced to consume this other thing that
Hmm.
that is known. So yeah.
Yeah, fair enough. Okay. So I wanted to change one element of the hypothetical. I would
Okay.
agree, by the way. I think that like, yeah, before killing the predator, I think it would be better to force them into, if they could, if they were like an opportunistic eater or something, where they could eat
Mm-hmm.
either one. Yeah, I think forcing them into a space would be better than killing them for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Um, okay. So hypothetical two tribe thing, except instead this time the other tribe is not being killed by humans; they're being killed by animals. Would you stop the animals?
Oh, interesting. Okay, so this is tough with nature. Um, if the tribe was trying to survive from these animals and they wanted to join my tribe, I'd probably say yes and protect them. That completely factored out. I don't know. If I just right now went into nature just for fun for a visit and I had a gun and I was amongst other humans and then an animal was going to kill a human, I would save the human.
Right.
If I was able to think this through and know more about the humans, do these humans live in a society or whatever, I it must just be based on like some kind of, I mean, evolutionary advantage for us to take care of our own. So there's something to that, but I think I could. I think if I isolated it to a situation where we said to these guys, like, hey, if you join us and we build this big society, we can protect you. But if you do this own thing, like this animal's just trying to survive. I don't know. I don't know. What do you
Yeah,
think?
I would think about that, because then the way you slide that question back is by, what if it was like a lion hunting a gorilla or something that was closer, evolutionary speaking, to humans, where they would have a lot of the
Mhm.
traits that we have, like higher order processing or whatever. Like if there was, or and then what about like a lower intelligence human or something? And yeah, so I would maybe just think about some of those like edge cases and see how you feel about those. I'd be curious to know.
Mhm. Yeah, I think I just lean towards well, there's a couple elements. Okay, now that I think about it further, I do have my connection with humans because I like the reason I'm vegan, the reason I care about animals is because aside from finding out what the science says about which ones are sentient or not, I can see at very least mammals that seem similar to me. I can see eyes, nose, whatever. I can see that if somebody steps on the foot of a dog, it whimpers in a way where I feel bad. I don't want it to have been stepped on, and so when you get to the extreme of it being my own species, where I know exactly how I feel if I'm hurt, and I know what I want for my future. There's a good chance that I will defend people, but then there could be causes for why I wouldn't. If if I lived in an area where I was amongst what I would call good people, acting good, and then I was just going on a stroll and I lived back in the Aztec days and they were sacrificing 12,000
Yeah,
humans of their own people a year and lions were going to eat them, I'd be like, all right, lions, I'll I'll give you a pat on the back.
right.
But yeah, in
So what
general, I
about what
think
about this
yeah.
then? So you say yes, I would save a human from a predator. What about like
Mhm.
an alien like human?
Mm-hmm.
Or sorry, a human like alien. I mean,
Human like alien. Yeah.
yeah.
Um, yeah. Let's see. I guess it would be the inverse would be something like that thing about a chimpanzee that learned how to talk and that you could reason with. It's hard to picture an alien. But yeah, the more I connected to it, like the closer
Picture
it got.
Spock.
Oh, okay, there we go. It's human like. Um, the more I connected to it and felt like it thought the way I did, the easier it would be to say, I'm just going to straight up save this thing. Um, Knowing that it's a species that I can consider its members to be ones I could live amongst, as far as um, agreeing to laws and reasoning together, that would play a big effect. So if it was an alien species that was anything like any other animals we know, like chimps and then other ones that are further from us, I would probably view it all about the same. If they were trying to, if they weren't messing with my ecosystem and my life, and they were just doing what they needed to survive, I would probably just leave it up to nature unless we could do what we talked about, where lions could be fine on vegetation.
I wonder why do you think it's important to you that the ability to like hypothetically live in a society with like a species or with like the average intelligence of that species or something? Because presumably if it was a person like who was mentally disabled, human like alien, you would include them with the other aliens, even though you couldn't live in a society with the mentally disabled human like alien, right? So like
Mm.
why is it important to you that on the average of species you'd be okay um like protecting them if you could live in a society with them in some
Yeah.
hypothetical.
Well, part of it is I think the most important thing humans can do is build a society. It's the best way we can protect ourselves. And so, and the only beings in that society that could be part of the protection would be ones that we could reason with. So we can know, like I know right now, if I go for a hike here in Oregon, chances are I'm probably not going to run into a bear, but there are probably black bears here. I think you have a ton of black bears where you're at too, right? Um,
Black and
you,
brown, yeah.
Black and brown. Okay. Um, I learned the difference between them when I was watching a show called Alone, and I can't remember the difference, but it's pretty wild.
Brown bears
Um,
are much meaner.
gotcha. But like, so I'm aware that this bear is not part of the reasoning that my species is. That they're not part of. They live within the borders. We luckily can keep enough natural land for them to exist, but they might kill me. And I know that there's not a thing where they're going to feel like I better not because I'll go to jail. So I just think that that's the most important thing that we've figured out as humans is something like the idea of how to work together and to build a society with protections. I care about living more than I care about just about anything else, and having that protection is how I live, or it's the best chances of living. So I guess I just value that to an extreme, and then everything
But
else just happens after that.
here's the strange part about that.
Okay.
Would the value change? Like, let's suppose you had access through some magic mirror or something to see this Earth-like planet that existed like galaxies away, and you
Mm-hmm.
could never hope to like live in a society with any of these beings. Like, there's zero chance of it ever happening, but you can
Okay.
still see and make decisions that will affect them.
Okay.
Would you protect those beings from lions?
If nobody was being tortured and farmed, or any element where I would say that it's not just an action of survival, I'd probably leave it up to nature. I think. Let me. No, no.
So
You said
they
it
look
is
like
people. It's
humans. Just yeah,
okay.
assume they're like humans basically. They're Spocks. You know,
Even if they
uh,
are humans, I don't know if I would intervene.
really.
I don't know if I did. Well, almost everything I choose is based on myself. And I guess I have to choose it separate for myself, because if I choose what happens in Europe or Africa, I don't live over there. So, because like No, I guess I do. Okay, so the element of the understanding myself and knowing the level of wanting to survive, future suffering and all that, I feel it to a more thorough level than I can imagine with other animals. So there's a chance I would somewhat intervene if the humans there just weren't able to defend themselves from natural wild animals the way we have. But part of me thinks I wouldn't if it's not affecting me or my loved ones, and I extend that to everyone I talk to here on YouTube. Um,
That's you're getting into crazy reductio waters if you if you keep
yeah,
talking about that. Well,
yeah.
like, what if you look through that magic portal and instead you see just like millions and millions of children just being tortured and
Well,
brutally
no, no, no,
like,
no. I've already claimed the torture matters. If there is no like farming of humans or animals, there's no suffering like maybe these mountain lions make things do. If it's just something doing what it needs to do to survive.
okay, so when you're talking about me and my loved ones, that's only in the context of protecting if somebody is trying to kill somebody for survival.
Um, well, it would be in all the things, but extending to just for survival. Like I wouldn't go, oh, okay, my loved one, you can die because they're trying to survive. I'd protect them
Right.
because I'm protecting them outside of my moral system. I would do immoral things to protect them. I would sacrifice all the random babies to save my
Okay.
own kid. You know.
Okay.
Um, um, but yeah, so if they're not involved and I'm just looking at a pure like I'm just looking at nature.
I'm trying to
Um,
get what I'm trying to get at is like, so outside of your loved ones and family and YouTube subscribers, um, there, I'm asking if there's any difference in the like the treatment, or I'll say treatment, but what I mean is deciding to protect them from predators or whatever. Is there any difference in treatment between the humans on this planet and the human-like people on a different planet?
hmm. um, no, I don't think so.
So then, do you still think the reason is because you could live in a society with those people?
Um, the I think there might have been a mix up because the living in a society which mostly what I think I was attempting to get at was just referring to being able to like make plans with them, discuss with them. Um,
But you can't do that either with the magic mirror faraway planet.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I mean, the same thing would be here, where if they came here, it would only affect me, I think, if they were going to be living with me.
Yep.
Um, can you ask the question again?
Yeah, yeah. So you've got humans that live here that like potentially, even if they're in Europe or something, they still might have an effect on your life or maybe in your own country or whatever. You don't know them,
Hmm.
but they're still living as part of our generally agreed upon society. So
Hmm.
there's decisions you make about whether to protect them from predators. Then you have the magic mirror faraway planet of similar human-like beings who you also don't know, except you have zero chance and they don't affect your society. They have their own
Hmm.
society but not your society. So would you ever answer the question differently between those two groups as to
Yeah.
yes, I would protect them from predators, no, I wouldn't?
Um, honestly, it would come down to either having the magic knowledge of or the assumption of having the will to live, the want to exist, that whole thing. That would affect it slightly, but for the most part, I feel my main intervening would be based on moral actions. For example, if I had the same situation, but I could go back to when Aztecs were doing their thing, I wouldn't look and go, these are humans that potentially could have a better society than this Aztec one, so let's let them be. I would look at it as these immoral acts are happening that I think that I personally, Carson Hughes, chooses. should not be happening, and I would rather these people die than not be dead. And so,
Hmm.
but if that's not happening,
Yeah, it's not
if
happening.
on this other world there's just humans that are good and all the animals are also good, but the only
To the
actions that
same
might,
extent that like humans here are good and animals here are good, like the
yeah,
same
yeah,
kind of thing.
yeah. Right now I don't think I'd intervene much aside from if I were to, it would be based on the undescribable connection I would have to my own, something very similar to me, and then the other reason would be something connected to the, if part of their similarity was that they had the will to live, that I would think maybe they had more of that than the thing eating them.
Hmm. Crazy.
What,
So
what, what
you
do
have,
you think? What do you think?
I
What
don't,
would you
well,
save the humans on the planet?
yeah, I definitely would.
Oh,
I would,
okay.
yeah, I'd push a button and save them if it was that simple. I think
Like
like
any animal that would kill a human, your button makes those animals just fall over dead right before they kill the human,
I
or the
think so.
human like thing. Okay, okay.
Yeah.
I
And
sort
like
of
what
think
about
so
North
too. I'm just not
Koreans?
sure.
What if it was in North Korea? Would you push a button to save a North Korean from an animal?
Well, I wouldn't. Okay, so I don't know much about North Korea,
Yeah.
but I wouldn't do. I wouldn't. I mean, there is the element of taking things out of their misery, but setting that aside, I wouldn't. It would only be based on the bad actions of the individual, and I would hate the idea of somebody's entire life being affected by actions I could see because. I've probably done bad things, and I probably will do bad things, and I've done good things, and so on. But yeah, if I yeah, I would easily not care if it was directly after a pretty horrible act, if that makes
Wait.
sense.
But would you protect a North Korean from a lion with a
North
button?
Korea, yeah, I thought you were trying to factor in the bad side of North Korea, but now I just
No, no,
realized
no.
you're talking about a place that doesn't directly affect me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I think I would in general protect humans from non-human animals, even if those animals were just acting off instinct to survive, um, because
So
of
here,
those two examples of connection I have to humans. Yeah,
and if it was like the human like alien living in North Korea, same thing, you would protect them also?
it would depend on how human-like they are. But yeah,
Why?
because again, my two reasons. One of them is an intuition that I can't get away from. It's just built into us. And so if that intuition doesn't stick out to me for this other species. Now, if it looks like Spock, he looks pretty human like, probably because it's a human actor. But so if that instinct didn't kick in, then I'd have to rely only on my other one, and that would have to involve the knowledge of, does it make more sense for me to assume that this human-like alien wants to continue existing in a way that I can't guess animals do, and has a want for the future that I can't guess
Yeah,
animals do?
you would
Um,
assume all these things to be true.
then sure. Anything that would fall into that category, I think I would likely think maybe save.
Okay, so the thing that's weird to me is that so it, in North Korea, whether it's human or similar to human, so the species doesn't matter to you. It's the
Mm-hmm.
ability. It's like certain things that are true of the species, which is good
Mm-hmm.
because that's yeah, I'm with you there.
Okay.
The where I think I diverge is so you gave the reason that it would have to do with whether they could live in a society with you. And so I was trying to press it like whether it means like whether they
Mm.
hypothetically could live in a society with me the same way that, like the Magic Mirror Planet people, they could live in a society with you even though but they're way too far away or something. In North
Mm-hmm.
Korea, like everything says you're never going to live in a society with these
Yeah.
people either. So the only thing that I see that's different about them versus the faraway planet is just their location. Like if you get close enough to where you live, then
Yeah.
you would all of a sudden um, save them from a lion versus not. That's the
Yeah,
weird
no,
thing to me.
I don't think the being able to live in a society with them was. I'm trying to remember exactly how I worded that because I think the society element is important, but not necessarily if I would protect a thing or not. If there's a tribe in a rainforest or whatever, the fact that they could live with me in a society doesn't necessarily mean anything if within a hypothetical I know they're never going to. Um, it's just I wish I remembered how I worded that, because part of it is just the being able to reason with us. If the species can know, like, this is the territory we claimed, these are our laws. Do you feel good? Are you good with us? And then because you cannot do that with chimps or lions or mice or anything.
You
Um,
can't, like, if I mean the like North Korea has no say, no, they don't weigh in over any of those things either. Like, these are our
yeah.
laws, this is our land, whatever. The other
Mhm.
planet doesn't either. So that's not really a symmetry breaker between those two.
Um, yes. Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's hard to respond to it without knowing exactly what I said before. But yeah, I don't, not because I'm changing it.
No, no, no.
I just don't know.
You were just so damn good before, and you want to remember. Yeah.
I no, I just I more so I want to know where I'm coming from, and I can't remember where I was coming from. But no, I don't think the ability to rationalize plays an effect. But I just don't know. It would depend on the situation for how much of an effect it plays. So I'm just going to leave that there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, um, my point in this, and the places I'm trying to go with this, is just you have, like, the ability to do something like rationalize or live in a society or whatever it ends up being. Um, and you have, like, the ability to practically engage in that with somebody, which is you don't have with the North Korea, you don't have with the faraway planet. It's like they in theory, in some hypothetical world where they were closer to you or lived on the same planet or in the same country, maybe those
Mm-hmm.
individuals would be able to do this. They have the capacity for it, I guess.
Yeah.
um, but they but the so is it the capacity that you're trying to isolate, or is it the, like, they are actively engaging in the
No.
rationalizing or the whatever the thing is?
Yeah. So if within the hypothetical or in real life, I'm never going to live amongst these people, then that part does not matter. The part of would I protect them over another animal would be based solely on my understanding of um, their ability to, well, if their ability to suffer was different than other animals, then it would include that, but it mostly would include the want to exist or the thoughts of the future as far as North Korea or the other planet.
Yeah. So what I heard, then you would have the same answer for how you would treat a North Korean with respect to being rescued from a lion as you would the faraway planet person.
Correct.
Oh,
I
okay.
Yes, I think so.
And you would save
Yes,
them or would not save them?
I would. Yeah, I think so.
Oh, okay, nice, sweet,
Yeah.
cool. Okay.